In case I need to.
Okay, good morning, everybody. I'd like to call today's Judicial and Public Safety Committee meeting to order. It is Thursday, November 13th, 2025. May I please have roll call?
Grape. Gums.
Linda here.
Tepe.
Happy here.
Williams.
Williams here.
Leonard.
Here.
Molina.
Molina present.
Roth.
Others here.
In-person quorum.
Okay, we have an in-person quorum. We did have a remote attendance request from Ms. Gums. I don't see that she's on yet. Any objection to allowing her to participate and vote?
I can't.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes. May I have a motion to approve, a motion to consent for consent for approval of minutes for October 16th, 2025?
Williams would request unanimous consent.
Any objection? Okay, hearing none, minutes are approved. Public comment. I have no one signed up to speak in person or online. We will move on. Our monthly financial reports are on file. Did anybody have anything they wanted to bring up at this time? Okay, we will move on. I don't have anyone here for the Merit Commission, so we'll go straight to KCOM. Good morning.
Good morning. Our monthly reports are on file. I do want to recognize two of our employee anniversaries in November. James Holden, 24 years, and telecommunicator Kezia Moore for 6 years. So happy anniversary to them, and we appreciate their service. We continue hiring and training. We have 2 telecommunicators in training. They've completed the classroom portion. They're moving on to day shift and afternoon shift with their hands-on training. Training is 6 to 9 months, so we are moving them through the appropriate phases. Additionally, we had a number of technical things that we are working on. I think through the Department of Transportation, we have talked about their radio project and how it overlaps with our radio project. Our radio administrator, Andy Bauman, has been assisting them on implementing their new radios. He is programming the fleet as KDOT is installing them. I believe that project for them is almost done ahead of the winter weather, so we're excited for them for that. KCOM is working on modernizing our public safety radio system by replacing outdated Fire North and Fire South channels with a countywide simulcast network. And then that connects OEM, KDOT, KCOM, Fire, and some of our police agencies on one reliable platform. And the upgrade will eliminate coverage gaps, simplify dispatching, and strengthen communication during emergencies, specifically for our fire agencies, but it does benefit all the agencies that we dispatch for. So this project does include Zetron radio equipment from the simulcast backbone, and then we're using Scientel microwave links between the tower sites to create the network for redundancy, ensuring operations continue in the event that we have a fiber connection that fails. And one location will use microwave as its primary link. So this upgrade does improve coverage, liability, interoperability, and it enhances responder safety. I just want to bring it up today because it's been in our report for a number of months, and we're at the point of implementation, which will be coming up through the next couple of months. So we're excited for that. As I stated, it will mostly benefit our fire users, as well as fire users throughout the county who respond mutual aid to our incidents. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that.
Any questions, Mr. Roth?
Yes. With the 2 in training, are you at full staff or close?
No, we are still hiring. The hiring process, we did testing again last month, and last month being, I guess, September. So we did a skills testing in September. That group is moving forward. We interviewed them. They're in the final stages. We hope to hire 1 to 2 from that group. We did another skills testing on the 4th of November. We have interviews scheduled for that group in a couple months. So the skills testing continues, I would say, about every 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. So we always have groups moving forward.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, Mr. Grape?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Couple things, not on the reports necessarily, but this is goal time of year, and hopefully we're going to be able to work on that. But going through the ones that we have, the second one, which is address the space needs for judicial public safety partners like KCOM. So it's everybody, but I'm wondering what you would say how the committee is doing in addressing your needs.
Well, we still have those needs. So we have our deputy director and our leads coordinator and QI coordinator. They continue sharing a small office. I've moved kind of out of my office. I have an office in the yellow house, a small space that I just use for Zoom meetings. Otherwise, I am on the floor in the communication center, not plugged in, but taking phone calls and stepping out. You'll probably see me pacing the parking lot, taking phone calls. But my office is a training room, and we have 4 different stations in there to train new employees and current employees as we implement new software. So space is very much still an issue. Andy, our radio administrator, is under the stairs of the Yellow House. He has a very small office in there that's also housing our equipment. So space remains on the report that we need to have addressed, because we have no one solution right now.
Would it help if, and I could ask, probably should ask this of every department, but would it help if we had a space needs document, a simple one that said, you know, here's my wish list, here's where I'm at, check off, whatever kind of thing? Because admittedly, myself, I've heard you talk about these things before, but that's during the meeting, and the meeting gets adjourned and we move on. And maybe stuff happens and maybe it doesn't happen, but the whole thing about a goal is to try and progress towards resolution or success of it. I don't think we're doing that as well as we could. So I'm just curious if some type of a document like that, if you could contribute to it, then I would assume the others could as well, to give us a to-do sheet, because that I can handle. You know, I think we all can, to say, here's what we need to do. Here's when we'd like to do it. We either can or can't do it. You know, money's involved, that kind of thing. Would that be helpful?
I think any tool that would help us move forward with it would be great for tracking. You know, we, KingCom ourselves, have explored every inch of space that we have within that building. We built a quiet room for our employees. We made an office, you know, for our operations manager when we had to. Like, we have strategically used every piece of space that we can use within our walls. And we've explored other space within the building, which, as I understand, is not available to us, right? So we are trying to pursue solutions on our own, but definitely any tool from the committee that would help us achieve those goals, we're in favor of.
If I may, so, and this isn't on you, by the way, other than giving us the input to put this very simple kind of to-do list together. And if it can't be done, it can't be done. If the money's not there, whatever. But I think we need to do that. And all we would need from you and every other department is here's what we're trying to do, a simple list, not the big stuff that we're doing major resolutions for, but the things that would really help in your day-to-day life. I'd like to see us do that. And as long as we're talking about that, the last goal on this list also impacts on you. And again, this is me soliciting input, not being critical in any way. It says, evaluate how the county's current mass notifications platform is meeting the needs for internal and external emergency communications, and possibly evaluate other options. I hate that goal, because it's, how do you know when you're doing it? But anyway, it is a goal. So you've talked about this even today. You talked about it. If there was a fuel gauge of 0 to complete, where would you say we'd be standing today for your needs in this area?
For our specific needs, I mean, I know this goal overlaps into some of the Office of Emergency Management's goals too, and I'm sure Director Bezecki will talk about that. But in our goals, you know, we've done so much over the past even 5 years, like the interoperability that we have with other agencies and how we're all working together. I think we're just so close to really achieving that goal. So, you know, on the police side of things, we have great interoperability and communication across one platform. We also have this project that we're working on for, as I stated, mostly the fire side and other entities. And that's just specific to like radio communications within an incident. So the redundancy that we have in place, how we work with other agencies, I think we're very close to achieving that goal as it pertains to KingCom. You know, we could use, you know, probably some additional funding, which we continue to explore just to finalize, you know, that portion of the project, but we're working with what we have, and we'll have next steps should that money come available to us.
So I think this would fit that to-do thing I was suggesting too. So it'd be great if we could get your help that way to.
And Mr. Gripe, the administration committee did put together an assessment, a space needs assessment back in 2022. So that is something that is a working document. If we want to touch base with Roger and the administration committee, but they did put together a space needs back then. And I think a lot of it had to do with the judicial area, Judicial campus, but we can touch base and see what we can do. I think our restraints are always going to be financial restraints. We're being really creative with the space that we're using now. So I thank our staff for that, but
Yeah, I'm not, and again, I'm not being critical of this committee,
No.
any other committee, you guys, but how you fix things is by working together and saying, let's be creative, and maybe we can't. So that's a good, thank you, Madam Chair, for that. We'll look into that. But again, I'd love to see short little lists
Yep.
that can get updated quickly, and that, thank you.
Absolutely. We can achieve that at KingCom. Those documents probably already exist. I'm happy to send over what we have so the committee has it.
okay, thank you. Any other questions for our director? Okay, we'll move on to emergency management. We have Scott online. He is at a conference. Scott,
Good morning. I have three, I guess, successes to share with you, and then one challenge, and then I can comment on a couple of the goals or the questions for Mr. Gripe. So the first thing is we filled our vacant position, the resilience specialist. We hired a gentleman by the name of Dan Nelson, comes to us with experience from Aurora and Naperville Emergency Management. That position works on training and exercise, public education, as well as critical infrastructure, including emergency shelters. So he's been on board about 2 weeks now. So we're excited to see what he's able to accomplish. The second thing is I was invited twice in the past month to give keynote addresses, and I happily took those up because it's a chance to share with various people. So I spoke to the township officials of Kane County at their annual dinner, October 22nd, about what emergency management is, what townships can do to prepare themselves for disaster, and then how they can access mutual aid. And then this past Saturday, I spoke to the Hanover Township Emergency Services Conference on how to run a good volunteer program. And that's the second time I've given that presentation. And so we're receiving lots of recognition for the successes of our volunteer program, and we're always happy to share that out. Third success was our staff completed our debris management plan, which includes a debris estimator tool. They put hundreds of man hours into this, and we got a lot of help from environmental, who did a lot of research on the environmental regulations concerning what you can do with various kinds of debris, hazardous materials, stuff like that. The big success with this is, besides having the plan, is that we worked along with IPW Man, which is the Illinois Public Works Mutual Aid Network. So it's a statewide organization, and they helped with the plan. But at the conclusion, they've asked to make that plan a template to provide to their member agencies, which goes statewide. And we agreed. So we're finalizing our actual plan, putting a cover on it and such. But it'll be going out statewide to be used as an example. So we're proud of that work. And my challenge is, and this goes a little bit to the last goal for the committee, we've kind of already been working on addressing that. And when we put that goal on the list, we were anticipating a new mass notification system was going to run 70 to 100,000 a year. And financially, that wasn't really feasible lately. The old system, what we were paying about 38,000 a year, and we are still officially on the old system until December 18th. However, we got word this week that this system is code red. The system was compromised and shut down. Not sure what kind of breach they had, but we're not able to access iPause through it. Luckily, we've already been moving in the road down the road with Regroup, a new system, which is about half as expensive and better system. And so we've escalated those efforts. So we're up and running, and if we need to use it, we could use it today. We're finalizing a few things, but all in all, we're in way better shape than we would be if we weren't switching already. So that's my report. Is there anything else that I can answer about those goals?
Mr. Gripe, I'll leave it to you.
Yeah, thank you. Hi, Scott. Hope you're having
Hi.
a good time. I was looking at what I'd say is goal number 2 on this, the evaluate, plan for, and address the future staffing needs of OEM. So you've been touching on that, but again, want to make sure that we are clear on what you need, and we can or can't provide it. But, if you could get kind of a to do or update list on that kind of thing, like I was just recently talking about, that would be great. So we know where you stand, what you think, and just being as honest as possible. I know it's hard for you all in dealing with us because of the political nature of what we do, but please be honest and say, I really need this, or it would be great to have that, or stop doing this to me kind of thing, would be very helpful. So anything you could do to help us help you, Scott, and everybody
Sure.
else would be great.
I mean, I can just say the space we have, we are, when we moved in there, I don't know if this is like 15 or 20 years ago now. We only had 3 staff, 2 or 3 staff then. And so now we have staff that have desks out in the, what you'd call a conference room. So the biggest challenge with that is that while they're working, we sometimes have meetings. And when those meetings require some level of sensitivity, then we either have to pack into an office or we've got to schedule a different meeting space. And I guess that's a first world problem. But that's the biggest challenge with the space is it's not big enough to accommodate. If we had a large disaster, it's not big enough to accommodate probably even half of the county departments that may need to be in the room. And so that's probably the biggest challenge with the space there.
Thank you. We just, I want to try and move things forward. So, I mean, the whole committee does, all the committees do. But, you know, maybe it's using space, because I know there's some departments that have more space than others, and maybe we could do some kind of off the wall sharing or something that would help. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grape. Any other questions for Director? Okay, Scott, thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll move on to our Sheriff Adult Corrections. I see Sheriff Hain online.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. I appreciate that. We're a little spread thin at the command staff level this week with people on training, end of year benefit time usage, and a passing in the family, which I want to give recognition to Deputy Ken Johnson and his wife, Under Sheriff Amy Johnson, on the passing of Ken's father, Chuck Johnson, who was about a 30-year Marine Corps veteran, and then he was captain of our court security division for about 20 years before he retired. But he passed over the weekend, so our thoughts are with them. Some of our obstacles that we're still facing is our jail population continues to be in the upper 300s. Again, this is 100 plus more people than we had before the Safety Act took effect, and obviously that's a weight on our staff and our budget. So just want to keep people tracking on that. The usual headlines that you see on the news pretty much every day is the ICE activity, Immigration and Customs Enforcement activity at our campus. You know, 2 or 3 days a week at least, they're there waiting for people to walk out of the jail, and you know, they do a quick run of their name, and if there is some sort of violation, they take enforcement action. We have had counter protesters at the site recently, literally whistleblowers. They stand there and blow whistles and chase after the ICE agents in their cars and try and scare them off the campus. So that's becoming a safety issue that we have to deal with. I actually had to take action on an incident last week where that was occurring, and it became relatively unsafe. So we're still trying to figure out how to wrap our heads around dealing with this peak of activity, and hoping it subsides soon. You may notice a bump in our overtime. We did have to cover Elgin City for a day and a half last week, with the very unfortunate passing of their Sergeant Free, is his last name, at the young age of 44. So we had to deploy 10 to 15 deputies over the course of 2 days in their town, so their city could attend his services. So please note that little bump in overtime, and it's just what we have to do as the sheriff's office. We have to cover a town if the town is not available. And then when it comes to mass communication, I do want to remind everybody that we've had the sheriff's app, King County Sheriff's Office app, for about 6 years now. We pay about 10 grand a year for that. It does have weather alerts. It has push notifications in emergency situations, sex offender alerts, sex offender map. that you can pull up. It just a ton of different options. We don't use it as much as I want us to use it, and that's on me to keep pressing my staff about, but also it's available to everyone else. I look forward to seeing what OEM is going to push out, because I really don't want to duplicate resources and continue to pay for something if, somebody else has already, found something better. So, all that said, I think that concludes my report for this month.
Thank you, Sheriff Payne. Any questions for our sheriff? Mr. Greip?
Of course. Hey, Ron, appreciate all you guys are doing over there.
Thank you.
And you actually touched on something I wanted to ask about, that it's become okay, I guess, for citizens to attack police officers, blame it on ICE, blame it on whatever you want. But I've worked with DEA officers in the past who wear masks, who don't have IDs because they would be killed if they didn't. But for whatever reason, I don't think we realize, or a lot of people realize, that people don't distinguish between one police officer and another. And if it's okay to attack one another. Example, shootings against police officers have jumped 60% since 2018. Let's see, police domestic violence is showing that 40% of cops are up to that. Now, that was always an issue, I know, because of the strain, but my question is, what can we do? We've started I guess, something rolling downhill that, we take offense to what certain law enforcement groups do, and that rubs off on everybody. And I don't think everybody realizes that. But I was wondering what we can do to help to calm things down before, again, I wasn't surprised to hear your report about what's happening here in Kane County, and it's going to get worse.
It is gonna get worse.
ICE could leave tomorrow, and it's going to get worse, because I've seen videos of in traffic stops with regular police officers and what people do and how crowds gather together. And that's the norm now. People attack police officers doing their job, and I think it's terrible. I don't know if we can do anything, Ron, to help, but what could we do to help?
Well, man, wave a magic wand. That's about all I can say. But we're relatively solvent in Kane County because we train our butts off. We train our people very solidly. We have great leadership that reinforces all of their actions and lets them know that, you got to get the job done. So let's all stick together and get the job done. Unfortunately, the media is probably the biggest issue. And I've been pressing some of the Chicago outlets to be more balanced in what they're reporting and what the accurate information is about, ICE, local police involvement with them or lack thereof, and actually what we're doing to maintain public safety. And they just seem to really sensationalize this, killer robot style operations that ICE is out there doing. And there really doesn't seem to be any desire to have a more balanced approach, to put better information out there. And ICE doesn't help themselves either. DHS doesn't help themselves either. They're not communicating solidly enough with the media so everybody understands what's going on. And to your point, you're exactly right, John. When I went out in the parking lot last week to take some enforcement action, I was getting screamed at and videotaped and told that I'm not doing enough. I said, what do you want me to do? My hands are pretty much tied. I can't communicate with ICE by the Trust Act. And, we're just here to make sure nobody gets run over or beat up in the parking lot. But no, the situation is going to continue to get worse. But I feel very confident in our staff's ability to combat that.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I think one thing we can do, Ron, is take public stances against that kind of sensationalism and violence. But there's a lot of politicians who don't like to open their mouths when it comes to something like that. So I would suggest maybe we all could help in that way. So thank you again for all you do. God bless you, brother.
Indeed. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for our sheriff?
Madam Chair Williams.
Mr. Williams?
Good morning, Mr. Sheriff Hayne. The protesters that you're talking about, are they from Kane County or outside Kane County, if you know?
Yes, they're from Kane, typically, or Aurora or Elgin. There's a couple of different Facebook sites where somebody started this campaign against ICE, and this is where they post all of their photos and videos and sensationalize things in the opposite direction, then we'd like them to. But it's, they're spread across the whole Chicagoland area, and the ones that we see are Kane County residents.
Thank you.
And Sheriff Hayne, just to be clear, Kane County residents and anybody else has the right to protest, correct?
Indeed. Yep.
Okay.
Peaceful.
And just before, I'm just going to finish my thought here. I do want to distinguish our sheriff's deputies and our law enforcement with the ICE officials. I think we've seen, I personally have seen the aggressive nature of ICE agents, and I'm not going to, I don't think this is the correct committee to discuss immigration issues, but I don't know how much sensationalism there is. I see how our deputies have the training and have gone through, education, and they know how to deal with people and the respect they give our citizens. And I've seen how ICE agents have not given that same level of respect to people. So emotions are high when it comes to protesters, especially when you have people who are being abducted without judicial warrants. And I know your hands are tied because you can't verify any of that information. And it is unfortunate that people are lumping groups together, but I think most of the people who are watching know that there is a huge difference between what the ICE agents are doing and what our law enforcement is doing. So I thank you for what you have been trying to do, and I'm sorry that you are in that position where you and your deputies are kind of just not able to do what you feel is right in those situations because of like you said, what you're handcuffed to laws that you have to follow. But I think our protesters have the right to protest, and if we can make it safe for everybody, then we can. But I don't know if that's going to be possible. And I'm sorry, you wanted to continue on with your thought.
Oh, no, I appreciate those words, and we're just going to continue to hold the line and do what we can do to keep the public safe. And that's really our only stance. And as long as it stays peaceful, we're very respectful of protesters.
Thank you, Sheriff Hayne. Okay.
Madam Chair, Bates, please.
Ms. Bates, go ahead.
I want to thank you, Madam Chair, for your comments, and thank you, Sheriff Hayne, for everything you do to diffuse the situation. The protesters, the emotions are so high because of what ICE is doing, taking people. It's happened in my own neighborhood, and the protesters have the right to protest. And thank you for keeping people safe.
My honor.
Thanks.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Gripe.
Yeah, I think we all know what the problem is. The problem is that we have some officers in different groups, call it ICE, call it the sheriff's department, not ours, hopefully, but I've seen police officers do their jobs badly. Our sheriff's deputies are very well trained, but when we sit here and we say, remember, it's okay to protest and do whatever you want, and it's, come out and scream and yell and throw things and do, which we're not saying, but we're not condemning the violence that's being carried out against police officers. And we throw all of this group of ICE together in one bucket and say they're all damned.
I don't think anybody here is doing that, Mr. Gripe, but I thank you for your comments.
I just object to it.
Madam Chair,
Mr.
I get
Tuppy?
really tired of hearing certain things. And one of the things I get tired of is hearing that it's all violence against police. It is violence against people and the way people are being respected or disrespected in this particular country. And I'm tired of it. And if you want to continue this, every time you say something, I'm going to say something. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tuppy. I appreciate everybody's comments, and I disagree with some of them, but I'm going to respect them. And we're going to move on to our coroner. Dr. Silva is on. She was requested to assist our Montgomery partners, but I think she's online here. Dr. Silva?
Good morning. Good morning, Madam Chair. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. So I will, it's kind of hard to transition into my report given everything that's going on, but I do agree emotions are high, tensions are high, and we're all affected and families are affected. And the coroner's office is affected. I won't get into specifics, but my job here is to give you the information that you need, that we all need in order to prevent people from coming through the coroner's office. So I will move on to my report. There have been 294 cases. Pardon me. Yes, I am. I apologize for not being there in person, but I am assisting Montgomery Police Department this morning. My October cases were 294 total cases, and of those cases, 12 were sign outs. And again, I won't belabor the definition of what everything is because I think I've talked about that, but we did have 30 sign out cases, which which more than likely require autopsies, but it's a very thorough investigation to see who doesn't require an autopsy. Those 30 cases, 7 were motor vehicle accidents, 4 were suicides, and 6 were suspected overdoses. 13 cases would be considered others, such as falls. 41 of those cases were handled by management and auxiliary deputies. We have been very busy this month with presentations because part of the way to diffuse and to educate is to build those relationships. So for me, it's been very important to get out into the community, to bring the community in. And so we've made a number of presentations to high schools, other law enforcement partners, and so to community groups. We've had a number of community groups come in, and we've opened, kind of demystified what happens at the coroner's office. And we've been in a couple of situations this month. Tensions are high. People handle grief differently, and we've had a couple of situations where we have had to turn to our sheriff's department, and they have been very professional, very compassionate, very caring, and very willing to assist us at a moment's notice. So thank you for that, Sheriff Hain. We are in the final steps of our reaccreditation stage, in the final stage of our reaccreditation. Hopefully by the next committee or the following one, I can present to you that we are reaccredited. We are also, again, very active in the community, distributing Narcan, working with the health department. We are members of the Overdose Task Force Committee and the Suicide Task Force Committee, as well as present in various celebrations in the community and awareness events. We continue to prepare the data that we have. Some of the case data that you have may change somewhere early in January, because as cases close, things may change. The manner of death may also change. So that is all that I have for you today. Thank you for completing the steps of the budget. I know we're not all where we need to be, but there has been movement forward to help us in each of our individual departments. I think my biggest challenge right now is, as I mentioned, we are short-staffed, and but my biggest challenge is that we were, in my opinion, short-staffed to begin with. So I have a starting salary for my deputies of $20 an hour, and that's set through collective bargaining. So that obviously is a challenge given the things that we did, where Walmart can pay $18 an hour. So those are challenges. We do have some space challenges, but I'm not going to complain about that because putting on my former county board hat, I do realize what other departments are going through. So we have our challenges, but we're moving forward, and I think we're doing it very efficiently. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dr. Silva. Any questions right now for our coroner? Okay, thank you for being here. Okay, we will move on to judiciary and courts.
Morning.
Morning.
Judge Villa had to attend another meeting. So Jason and I just have a couple updates that we'd like to share. November 24th, the 16th Judicial Circuit is participating in National Adoption Day. We're very excited about that. Judge Karianis will be doing adoptions at the Judicial Center. on Monday from 9 to 12. We'll be hosting multiple families, have some gifts and goodies for the children. So that's an exciting event that we have not participated in before. So we're excited about it this year. And then we have a project update that Jason would like to talk about.
Good morning, Jason Mathis, Deputy Court Administrator. I just want to let you know, if you come to the old courthouse on 3rd Street this week for any reason, you will have to use the judge's entrance. Our main entrance is down currently because we're having a security station installed, a more centralized security station kind of in the middle of the rotunda. To put it in perspective, if Miss Molina is security, that's her view of the front door now at 3rd Street, and all the entrances at 3rd Street, as you know, there are many. We use one main entrance. If you've ever come into our building before, security was kind of tucked in on the right side. They could see people coming into the building on camera, but it wasn't the most workable security station. So while Sheriff Hain, who may or may not still be on, but I just want to thank him for letting us borrow some of his team, Chief Kadich and Commander Fletcher. We worked in coordination with them. We can make the outside of a security station historically accurate. It looks great. We needed them for the technical and the ballistic part of that, just to make it the safest space possible. It looks fantastic, and I think it's going to function even better. So, you know, just be patient with us if you come to the building this week, and you may have to use the alternate entrance. But if you get a chance, please come by and see everything we've been working on there. I just wanted to add that because of Mr. Gripe's comments and the second bullet point there under goals about addressing space needs. I can speak for the old courthouse. There's not a room in the building that's not in use. And it was not always like that. We used to have several courtrooms that weren't being used, meeting spaces. So Scott or anyone in here, Rochelle's done a training at the building, and Court Services did a week-long training in the last year at the building. We have space that can accommodate that. And the price is right because it's free. So just reach out to me if you need space or meeting space and let me know, and we'll get you taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions for our judiciary? Okay, we will move on to our state's attorney. I don't see our state's attorney on. So I do see her monthly report is on file. Terry is on if Terry wants to say hi. But I don't think there's anything from our state's attorney today. So we will move on to our public defender.
Good morning. Our reports are on file. Just a couple of things. As the year ends, we're working on some training initiatives within our office, which will help our attorneys do their jobs more effectively. Additionally, just to bring up, I know I've talked in the past about the number of increase in murder cases that our office had received. Just an update on that. We have within the last couple of months, 2 have gone to trial. We have 3 more set in the next couple of months. So we are working diligently to get those numbers down and to get finality to those clients. I know the state's attorney's office had a couple within the last few months with private attorneys as well. So there has been a lot of big cases going on at the courthouse. I will just, as a final side note, I will attest to Jason's comments. The space at the old courthouse was fabulous for our training. It was courtroom setting, so it worked very well for us to be able to do mock situations with the attorneys. You have a very hospitable host over there who met all of our needs, and so it was a really good space, and it was free. And that's all I have this morning.
Okay, any questions for our public defender? Okay, so we'll move on to Court Service Administration. We have Mr. Davis here.
Good morning. I'm Mike Davis. I'm the superintendent of the Juvenile Justice Center, sitting in for Lisa Oss today. Our reports are on file, and I have a couple of resolutions if you're ready.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and introduce that first one for us.
The first one is for a detention service agreement, excuse me, with Jefferson County. It would be $225 a day per diem. It's a 3-year contract expiring December 1st of 2028.
Williams
Okay,
moves.
may I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve this resolution?
Linder second.
Mr. Williams moves, Mr. Linder seconds. Any questions or comments? Okay, may I please have roll call?
Grape,
Gripe, yes.
Linder,
Linder, yes.
Pepe,
Pepe, yes.
Williams.
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Molina.
Molina, yes. Okay, this passes on to Budget and Finance
Just
Committee.
Just a little foreshadowing on that. I'm going to have several more detention services agreements coming before you in the next month or two. The Second Circuit has reached out and wanted to contract with us. That's a small jurisdiction of 12 counties. So I'll have several more of those coming online in the next few weeks.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. That was going to be my question. And Mr. Roth and then Mr. Tepe.
How many outside or intergovernment agreements do we have for how many counties?
Currently have 12. This will be 13.
And then you're expecting what, 3 to 4 more or more? And then what does that
10
put
or
us?
11 more.
Okay. What will that put us at capacity when we get them all?
It won't put us at capacity. Capacity is one of those things. We have 80 beds in the facility, but I'm staffed for 40 beds.
Okay.
Over the last several years, there's been a lot of legislative changes, a lot of changes in standards, which, we were required to do more things. So
Right. No, and because we're able to do them, that's why we're getting all these intergovernment, because not everyone can.
correct. And I do acknowledge that our population is down. There's a lot of lawsuits in juvenile detention right now. Some of these facilities are closing. So you have other jurisdictions looking to contract. And I should note that in the agreement with the Second Circuit, I put a cap on the number of kids that we would accept for them because things tend to get out of control if we have over 40 kids. And there's escalators in my food service contract, my medical contracts, if we go over that number. So I'm going to try to keep it around 40 if I can.
Okay. You guys are doing a great job. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Tepe.
Thank you. Mr. Roth took most of my questions. Thank you. Where is the Second Circuit area?
The southern tip of the state.
So, wow.
So during the pandemic, our whole building is Wi-Fi equipped. So we are able to do virtual court for our partners so that they don't have to do transports back and forth for every court appearance unless they think a youth is going to be released.
There's still a lot of transport that takes place.
We don't do those transports.
Know that, yeah.
We have in our agreements, we will do emergency medical transports, which we charge a fee for. If a youth is sentenced to the Illinois Department of Juvenile Justice, we'll also do that transport, but we also charge a fee for that.
Thank you.
And Mr. Davis, I'm sorry, and then I'll let Mr. Grape go. What happens to these to the children who aren't able to come to if we are full, where else do they go? Where else are they transported?
There's a lot of counties in the state who are having difficulty finding beds for their youth right now. For example, the Second Circuit used to use Franklin County. They were sued by the ACLU a couple of years ago and shut down. So the year that last year that was open, that circuit detained more than 100 kids. The last couple of years, they've only detained about 20. I reached out to them for clarification. That's mostly due to not being able to find bed space, which is why I put the cap of 40 in the contract.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Grape?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Kind of piggyback on Mr. Tepe's question. So Jefferson County's all the way down there, like in Kentucky. Can you hold kids in this case outside of the state of Illinois, or does it have to be in the state of Illinois?
There are some counties in the state of Illinois around the border that are detaining kids in facilities outside of the state. But that has been something that the AOIC is looking to address. And there are a lot of advocates in the state who are opposed to that because obviously they can't, they don't have much information or much oversight of those facilities.
Okay. And if I may, you guys do a fabulous job. One of the things I love doing is going over there as a chaplain and sitting with I call them kids, young people, and chatting with them. But that is a phenomenal operation. And I hope you guys can get to the point where you say enough. I think you will. I'm confident you will. But you do such a great job. I'd hate to see that lost, but we got to help and we're helping. So thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And just to explain why the population has gone down a bit, there's a lot of factors, but Prior to a few months ago, every jurisdiction had their own screening tool for detaining youth. The AOIC has come up with a statewide screening tool, which is all jurisdictions are now required to use, which eliminates a lot of kids from being eligible for secure detention.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis. And then we have a second resolution.
The second resolution is for probation. It's an MOU between Court Services and Nickerson Associates for sex offender treatment, which is a multidisciplinary partnership between probation, treatment, and polygraph examiners. There was an RFP issued, and Nickerson and Associates was found to be the most practical. They were also the only to reply, and the current vendor. This contract has no impact on the general fund. It's paid with probation fees, and it is a 3-year contract, which will expire in November of 28.
Okay, may I have a motion and a second to discuss and potentially approve?
Leonard will move.
Mr. Leonard
second.
moves, Mr. Gripe seconds. Any comments or questions? Okay, may I please have roll call?
Gripe,
Right, yes.
Linder,
Yes.
Pepe,
Debbie, yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Leonard,
Leonard, yes.
Polina.
Paulina, yes. Okay, and that passes on to executive.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Davis, for being here. Okay, we will move on to our circuit clerk, Ms. Barrero. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. My report is on file, so if anybody has any questions with that, I'd like to point out that civil cases going to court and being filed are up 14%. Total for the whole county is up 6.1%, which is pretty much in line what we thought at the end of the year last year. We have 94 employees currently. We have three deputy clerks that we still need to fill, and at least one accounting clerk. We have one supervisor that is retiring at the end of the month, and one of the accounting clerks took that position. So these are positions I have to fill. We eliminated all the excess positions that we needed, but we're going to try and work without. So we have to get these clerks filled. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay, any questions for our circuit clerk? Mr. Grape?
Sorry, I just, thank you. Do we have a pretty good outside? Do most people like this come from the inside, or do they come from the outside, or it's a little of both, or?
You mean for hiring?
For hiring, yeah.
If it's a move within the, we do post it because we're a contract union. We have a labor agreement. So we do post it in office, and we try to use staff in office because they already know the system and everything. Yeah. Just like all the other offices that like our staff, we like our staff too. So we'd like to move them around. But yeah, when it's a starting position, there's nobody that's going to move into it. Yeah. So there's not a lot of apps out there right now. It's bad timing with the holidays. So usually we don't get a lot of apps right now. We do have a few that they're going over, but right now, no.
For our friends, colleagues, networks, where do you post this? Is it just on the county website, or do you go to Monster or other things like
No,
that?
we don't. We tried that and we weren't successful.
Yeah, okay,
So,
all right, thank you.
yep.
Any other questions? Okay, we will move on to old business. And I failed to add our goals settings. I guess my first question is this something that the committee is looking at, wanting to set up goals for this committee? The reason I ask is because it's a little difficult because we have elected officials who, have the ability to make their own decisions and choices. So us setting goals for them, I think is inappropriate. But I guess, so that's my first ask is, what does this committee think about even having goals set for our committee? So I guess I'll ask for feedback. Who thinks that this committee needs to have some set of goals? Because just for perspective, that's not anything that we've had in the past. So I think the goal setting for the committee structure started about 2 years ago or 1 year ago. I'm not sure if it's something that you know, is needed. So I'll put that forward and I'll let Mr. Gripe go first. And if anybody else has any comments on it.
Sure. Very good point, Madam Chair. I think, because they're electeds, we don't have the ability to tell them what to do, which is fine. But we can't facilitate. That's kind of where I was going with my earlier comments about what can we do to help. So we're the committee that feeds into the board and such. So I think goals, I just let AI help me with this. Things like promoting public access to the justice, this would be a goal, to the justice system and ensuring that all individuals can participate in the legal process. That's really generic, but it's an example of something we could do and try and help with or get input from all of these different groups so that we can help rather than just say, hey, we're here. If you need something, let us know. So it's not a bad thing. And then we can evaluate, are we really helping you all in what you're doing? So I think goals are always great. So, the right ones that can be measured, hopefully, and we can move forward on would help all of them and us.
Okay, any other thoughts, Mr. Linder?
I think that issue of measurability is a big one. Most of the things that you just mentioned were aims or directions. They really weren't measurable. Assuring public access. Well, that's a wonderful thing, but how do you count that, especially among all these departments? I don't see that spending a lot of time in that is worthwhile.
Okay, anybody else? Mr. Williams?
Yeah, so I mean, having goals it's nice, I guess, but we really don't spend any time on them. And the Safety Act is what, 4 or 5 years old by now? And are we really going to continue to evaluate that? I mean, it is what it is. I kind of would like to have the department heads and the elected set the goals for us.
Right.
Because they know better than I do.
Right.
So department head electeds, I'm not going to put you all on the spot right now, but but I think
Give us
that's
more money. I think that would be the goal.
That's kind of that's the bottom line here is that we can have all these goals set, but if we're financially being, we're restrained financially, how is that measurable? How is that something that we need to list as a committee goal for 2026 when we know already going into 2026 that we're going to be looking at, financially, we're going to be having issues, more than we had in 2025. And I looked at Mr. Leonard and Mr. Tepe for a direction on that. So I guess I'll leave it for everybody to think about, email me, or we can discuss it at the next meeting. I'll put it under old business to discuss. And I guess just a hands up or down. Yes, do we need to set goals for this committee? We have our county code that tells us what direction, what this committee, what this committee is set to do. So yes, if we need to have goals, maybe we need to have, instead of a goal, something else that, maybe Mr. Gripe can help us as an objective of what this committee needs to do. But our code kind of tells us what this committee is already directed to do. Space needs, I think, is something that is always going to be an issue. We've grown, our personnel has grown, I think, over 40% in the last 5 years. So, but our buildings haven't grown. So we're going to have that space needs for a while. But just, I guess, food for thought for our next meeting. I'll give us all some homework and just really think about it, whether or not it's appropriate for our committee to have, and we can say no. So, okay. Anybody else have any new business or old business they'd like to bring up? Mr. Leonard?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to mention, as everyone knows, this last week we approved a budget. And I mentioned at our county board meeting how appreciative we on the finance committee are with all the cooperation, professionalism that was exhibited privately between the finance committee and the electeds. And I just want to thank them once again for what they did and how they handled things. And it made it possible for us to come up with a budget that not everybody's happy with, but everyone understands. So I just wanted to thank all the electeds for what they did.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Yes. Ms. Barrero?
I'm sorry, but I can't leave without commenting on your comment that personnel has gone up 40%. If you look at the circuit clerk's office, we are down. It was 128 employees when Hartwell was here.
And I'm sorry, what I mean is it's projected to go up. I think some
Correct.
departments did go up
Correct.
40%.
That's
But,
true.
When we did our space needs, I remember 40% was the marker of
No,
expected to go up by 2050. So when we
oh,
were looking at.
no,
long
it's going, it should go up. That's the point. We have more people in Kane County. Yes, I know the census was different, but we have more people in Kane County. So we should have more employees. And we have a lot of space at the circuit clerk's office because we're down all those employees. So, but we always have room for to use the conference room if anybody needs it, which folks have in the past. So free.
Thank you, Ms. Barrow. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so then, may I have a consent to place reports on file?
Williams would ask for unanimous consent.
Any objections? Okay, reports are placed on file. We have no need for executive session. May I have a motion and a second to adjourn?
Williams seconds.
Mr. Linder moves, Mr. Williams seconds. Any, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.